So, Zach Taylor talked today about the possibility of us trading T. Higgins. And he said exactly what you would think he would say. Like, until it's inked on the table and actually gonna happen, which I still do not believe it's gonna happen because of how much I think the Bengals would want for T. Higgins, and no team would ever pay the price tag that the Bengals are offering, or sorry, not offering, are asking for. That it's just not going to happen. Like, we're not going to trade T. He's going to play this year on a 1-year, $21.186 million contract. It's fully guaranteed. He's going to have a career year, have an absolutely crazy great year, and then he's going to win a Super Bowl and go get paid somewhere else, big boy money. And that's pretty much in his best interest, is to play as good as he can, because the fact, again, is a fully guaranteed contract, and he's getting paid how much he would be getting paid on a normal contract. Like, a lot of people think like he's making way less than he would if he had a long-term contract extension. That's not the case. He's making probably a tad bit more than he might be making on a long-term contract extension, which works out for him, right? Works out for him in the end, and if he has a career year and wins a Super Bowl, he'll get paid crazy money somewhere else. If he goes out there and doesn't play much this year and says, hey, I'm not going to play, I'm not going to do this, then guess what? Other teams are going to see him as a red flag, and they're not going to pay him money. They're not going to give him as much money as he would want. So, at the end of the day, it's going to work out where he plays the rest of this year. Now, according to Zach Taylor, this is what he said. We're excited for T to have a great year with us. Pro Football Network. And why? We think he's our best chance to help us win a Super Bowl. I've enjoyed working with T over the last 4 years and I expect this year to be no different. And again, like I said, that's exactly what you expect your head coach to say. Because until something is inked on paper, or there is even a speculation that a trade has been put through, there's no reason to speak on the matter. There really isn't. Especially not as a coach. Like, again, I speak on the matter with this channel, but I've always tried my best to preface this. I do not believe it's going to go through. I do not believe we're going to trade T in any circumstance. But, you know, we always got to talk about speculation and talk about theories and what might happen, might not happen. You know, all that kind of good stuff. But at the end of the day, I'm just going to tell you right now, it's not going to happen. Because if anything, we're asking for way too much for T. And even with me, in my opinion, when I think that he's worth at least a first-round pick. More than a first-round pick. But first-round pick's the starting offer. We don't know what the Cincinnati Bengals are thinking in their heads. We don't know what they're asking, right? They might be asking something ridiculously crazy, like 3 first-round picks. I'm not saying they are. I'm saying that they might be, right? So we don't know at the end of the day. So what ends up happening here is a team, and again, a lot of people think trades are simply so easy, like, oh, hey, call up somebody, I have a phone right here, call up, hey, Jacksonville, what would you like for T. Higgins? Oh, a first? How about a first and a third? Oh, you like that? Okay, let's do the trade. Sometimes they are, like, sometimes, but a lot of times what happens, especially if you respect the player and there's some kind of connection, or if the player has a no trade clause, yeah, that's another thing. Players can have no trade clauses. Not every player does. You have to work in your contract. But if there's a no trade clause, you can't do any of that stuff. Or there's they have to call up the player and say, hey, listen, we're talking to Jacksonville. And we're thinking about trading you to Jacksonville. What do you think? Or even if there's not a no trade clause, sometimes there is a mutual respect angle where it's like, hey, listen, man, we just want to give you a heads up. We're talking to Jacksonville. We're working out a trade. Is that somewhere where you'll be okay to be traded to, right? And if the player says no, sometimes if there's no respect or no, team doesn't care, they say, okay, well, tough luck. We're trading you there. But normally, in most circumstances, a team, will kind of try to find the best place that works for them and also works for the player. Because again, you have to keep in mind, the player can refuse to play. Like, the player can refuse to trade. And at the end of the day, although, yeah, you might work out a trade on paper and say, yeah, we want to do this trade for this player. If the player says, hey, listen, I'm not playing for that team. I'm not signing a contract for that team. I don't want to be there. The other team's going to say, well, then we don't want to do the trade. Because the one team's giving up something, right? And if the player says, well, I'm not gonna work in this, then the trade is nullified. So you have to kind of, go where the player wants to go. You have to work with the player as well. Especially if, like T. Higgins' case here, he needs to get a new contract. So this is exactly what you think Zach Taylor would say, right? And based on reports from ESPN and other sources, the Bengals are open to listening to offers for T. Higgins. He requested a trade. And the facts of the facts is, once you request a trade, that process in some capacity gets going. But unless we are going to win this trade by a landslide, we're not going to do it. The Bengals do not make trades unless they are favored and winning the trade. They don't make equal trades. They make trades where they win and destroy. Billy Price for DJ Reader. BJ Hill. They do trades that they overly win. Tell me down below your thoughts and opinions. I'll see you at the next one. Peace out.